You know the lady that's got honey in the pram?
Oh, I love
She's
Dion.
lovely.
Yeah, I love Dion. I
Dion.
love honey, yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
And I had a good chat with her that night of the party, and she made me laugh. She was lovely. She came with her dad, didn't she?
Oh, they're funny, man. Together.
She's so funny. But she's really kind as well.
No,
she's
she
dead
is.
kind to David.
Oh.
She was. She was.
So, June, go on, tell us who you are and
I'm
what you
June
did.
Ward, and I'm a big fan of the Reno and Linda's project, the Reno, and I came to the dig with my little foster son David, and I loved every minute of it.
Cool. What did you do? You dug?
I dug.
Yeah.
I got friendly with people. I got to know people a little bit, as much as we could. I had a good laugh. David loved it. And I got to know a bit about the dig, didn't I, from the archaeologist, Sarah, was it?
Yeah.
Sarah and the man.
Adam. No.
No.
Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. Andy.
Andy,
Yeah.
he's very good. We got to know a bit about things, and I loved the party. And nobody made me feel out of it because I didn't come to the Reno. And that's a really important bit for me, that nobody made me feel I shouldn't be there.
Oh.
Everyone was dead welcoming.
Why was that important to you?
Because if I'd have come one day and anyone would have said, "Oh, what are you doing here? You didn't come in the Reno. What do you want?" You know, that sort of thing.
Or just been hostile?
Just ignored me, but people talked to me, hugged me like the second time I came.
Oh.
Myra come up hugging me, she's lovely. Ivan come up hugging me. Ivan was lovely with David, everybody was. And I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't feel that I shouldn't be there. I felt like I should be there, helping.
Why is it important? Could you keep mentioning David? Why is it important for David?
Because he was off school and I couldn't come, and you said, "Of course you can bring David." So I brought him, and everyone just welcomed him, and he loved it, and he did the dig, didn't he?
No, we did.
He works, and he loved Myra's grandson. Is it Kayosh? I think it's Kayosh. Yeah. He was dead kind to David. I think they were the only two there at that time.
Yeah.
But it's important, because if anyone was nasty to David, I wouldn't like it. I'd be up in arms.
What's your favourite moment on the dig, June?
Well, I wasn't there. My favourite thing is what I've said, when you lot all lit the fire.
Oh.
I thought that was brilliant, and I wished I could get in the car and whiz down, but I couldn't. It was just brilliant to see just a few of you sat around that fireplace.
In the gambling room.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that, did I?
Yeah, it was in the gambling room fireplace.
Yeah, it was lovely.
That was magical, that moment.
Was. Because I wished I could have took a photo of it.
Or
because
just
it's worth framing that, isn't it? Have you got it?
Yeah.
It's worth framing, it's just lovely. And that'll be a lasting memory, maybe, of the Reno, that you're still, we're together in a little community, part of the bigger community, and you're all sat there. Did you have a drink?
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
You're all sat there.
We had bottles of wine left over from the celebration night.
So you're all having a drink and a chinwag, weren't you?
Yeah.
Round the fire. Well, that must have been lovely, and it was lovely to look at.
Yeah. Good. What did you learn?
Well, I learned a little bit about how archaeology and the way to do it. You don't just dig, you sift everything, don't you? And I learned how lovely everyone is. All the people who went down the Reno and everything, not everyone, but a big part of that was that everyone's half caste. That's the big part of your project. For me, that's what I think it is. And I learned that, everyone was lovely, because because of my age, when I was at school, we didn't have many half-caste children at school, so I didn't get to know any. I have now, because my son, he's 42 now. He's brought home half-caste people over the years, and I've got one really good friend who's half-caste, but we met when we were like 20 through my ex-husband and her husband.
Okay.
She's got very interesting tales to tell.
Like of what?
I can't tell you because you won't want me to. I can't tell you on camera, but she lived in Hume, and of course I phoned her and said, did you go to the Reno? She thinks one of her brothers went, but she was a bit fed up that I didn't phone her in time so she could have come.
Oh.
She would have come.
Yeah.
But because she's very private and very sophisticated in her own way now, I didn't think she'd want to come, you see. So I feel a bit rotten about that, because it would have been lovely if she'd have come. Maybe she'll come to the Whitworth though.
Yeah, when we do the proper exhibition.
She's got loads of things. She's my age, so she's a bit older than you, Linda, but she's got loads of stuff that went on.
Yeah, that went on. When
she was a child. She's got 3 brothers and sisters. She doesn't see them all. And she's had a lovely, lovely dad. I've forgotten where he came from. But they moved to Wythenshawe because the house was demolished.
Yeah.
And that's something in common with loads of people that went down the Reno.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They moved to Wythenshawe or
North different community.
Different communities, yeah.
You were addicted to the memoirs as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'm very nosy, but not in a horrible way, I hope. I'm just very, very interested in people and the stories. And I don't think my story would be anywhere as interesting, but that's just me putting myself down. But because of the influence of the dads, the fathers coming from other countries and settling, how brave were they coming over and then starting families, setting up, meeting white women, setting up families, maybe more than one family in some cases. That is just so interesting, because in some cases in the videos, their dads shared a lot of their culture, and lots of dads seemed to do the cooking and things like that. And then there were dads who didn't share anything. And one thing that seems a shame is that I don't even know if there's any dads that shared the language.
Oh, okay.
That didn't come out, did it?
I don't know that either.
No. And I know a few people, I think, I don't know if one of them was Barry from the dig. There were some people that said they wish the dad would have taught them the language, because now they would, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They'd be bilingual in the house if they had 2 parents from a different culture. But I don't think the mums could understand the language either.
What's that saying to you though? It's saying something to me, but I can't get my head around it. What's it saying to you?
I suppose that although there were loads of good dads who worked hard and looked after the families and everything, they kept that little bit of Africa or the Caribbean. They kept that with their countrymen, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that when their friends came round, they all talked and communicated in their own language. And the mums and the kids didn't understand, did they?
You're saying a really huge thing that I've never thought about. But I do know what you're saying, because I did experience it, that when my dad's brothers and whatever, they would go in the front room and that was a secret. Yeah.
That's what I've noticed in the videos. And also, a lot of the dads having that secret room with a lock on. I know that all the dads did.
Yeah.
But you know that other project, I've read all the, I don't know what you call them at the moment, it's gone from my mind. The men's story, the stories of people's dads, the men. A lot of them had a secret room.
Right. Oh, you were talking about Sue Andy's project.
Susan Andy's project,
Yeah.
They had a room that a lot of them kept locked, and they think that they had mementos from the homeland. I suppose not sharing the language went along with that, really. The loss of coming over here.
Yeah.
They lost, didn't they? They lost their... Because some people that came, they'd have never have saved up the money to go back.
Yeah.
So they would keep the language because that would be very important to them, I suppose. It might not be anything as deep as this. It might be time. They didn't have the time to share it.
I suppose it's a combination of both, though. I don't know, it's making me have odd feelings about kind of not being a proper family.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be daft. No, but I just think deep into everything. But it's making me think about something that I felt about not being a proper family because there wasn't two of the same.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like two, yeah.
But do you think, say, when I was at school, lots of kids had Polish dads.
Right.
And I don't think they knew the language.
No.
And I don't know whether the Polish men got together. I think they must have. So do you think they felt like that?
I've no idea. Probably. I know what I'm feeling as you say it.
And did you feel that when you were little, though?
Yeah, my mum and dad were together till they died, you know. So they weren't just like something that they met in the night and they had a mortgage and they, you know, like we was a proper family. But there's always that thing that we wasn't quite, and you've hit on it somehow.
You know, you've said in your videos that you had a lovely dad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. Whereas some people, they struggled, didn't they? Because the dads were quite violent.
Yeah.
And that's about disciplining the kids, I think. You know, that's a cultural thing sometimes, that the way you discipline your children. It can be.
Yeah.
But not just African cultures or Caribbean cultures, it's, you know, it can be any, can't it?
Definitely, there must have been violent Englishmen.
Of course, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, Linda.
Yeah.
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 Because I've seen kids, I've seen the dad take the belt off when I was little. My dad didn't, thank God. But I've seen kids, because they've stayed out a bit late, the dads took the belt off and belted the legs.
Oh, we used to get belted. My dad used to do like about a 6-month group belting. You know, you know, because my mum would go on about they've done this and they've done that, and about every 6 months. Honest, I'm not joking. He used to line us up and belt all of us, and it wouldn't matter who's done what.
Did you all try and run away?
Absolutely, man. You'd be screaming and begging and everything. Yeah.
Because a good friend of mine who's a foster carer like me, she said something the other day that's resonated with me and upset me. She said she many a time went to school with buckle marks on her legs and no one asked any questions or anything at school.
You didn't then, though,
no.
Did you? It was just part of life.
But she said what a lovely, lovely dad.
No, mine was a great dad.
So it doesn't mean they weren't nice if they gave you the belt. It means that they were trying the best to teach you stuff and discipline you, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that language thing, probably all they needed to do was talk to you in their language.
Well, that's what Asian families do, don't they? You know, and Spanish families, you know, they just be themselves in front of the kid. Do you know what I'm thinking behind what you're saying? And I might just be reading too much into it. It's like as if that they're not entitled to be them in this country. Do you know, so that their language is a secret. Whereas in modern times, in Spanish kids or Asian kids, they do just be themselves. It's not that they're teaching the kids anything, they're just talking their language in the home.
Yeah, they are.
Aren't they? And definitely. The kids pick it up.
Yeah, so maybe it is to do with that. Maybe, I suppose, I got like feelings that, like, there was the man who owned the Reno. Phil. His daughter gave a lovely video, didn't she? And he came over here, and I think he was a ship's engineer.
Yeah.
And then when he came over, I'm not sure about this bit, but this is relevant to other people, they couldn't get that job. They
No.
had to do something much less, didn't they?
Yeah.
And did they have to? A lot of them must have had to learn English, pick it up as they went along on the ship.
I don't know if they were bilingual in Africa. Jamaicans talk English though, don't they? Pidgin English.
But in Africa, there's lots of, is it called dialects? Or?
Well, there's lots of different African languages, isn't there, that they would have spoken. But whether they would have been bilingual at home or not, I don't know.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But I suppose, like, if they lost a lot, like there was someone's dad who was a teacher somewhere along the line. I can't think whether it was in the other project, which I'll have to put out of my mind. But then he had to do a manual job. So maybe that affected his self-esteem a bit.
Yeah.
And maybe then, just to have that thing of your own. Or maybe they were just far too busy working to keep the families. And any spare time they met with the mates, their own culture, from their own culture. They just couldn't teach you the language.
I don't think I would have wanted to learn out the kids when I was little, because you just want to be the same as everybody else, don't you?
Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it?
And all your friends speak English, so I would have just wanted to speak English. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to look different.
Was your dad from Jamaica?
Yeah, my dad's from Jamaica.
So he would have spoken English anyway.
He spoke pidgin English, and he never ever got any better than when he was Jamaican. We wouldn't know what he meant half the time because he speaks fast as well.
Would your mum know?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's just one bit though that I noticed, that thing about the language. A few people mentioned it, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the videos. And then that lovely accent. A lot of people can take off their dad, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think those two brothers, I can't remember the names at the moment, one of them took the dad off and it sounded so nice.
I can write like that, but I can't actually do an accent, but I can write it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What did, what was the other question? What went well on the project?
The dig?
Yeah.
What went well?
You can add the dig and the memoirs. What was good about it?
Well, because in the memoirs you always ask that same question at the beginning. That set people off. And then I think what was good was that everybody went in different directions. And some people went about the Reno, which they're supposed to. And then some people went about their own families and school and what they've done since then, and the brothers and sisters and everything. And the way, because there's another thing that a lot of people have got half brothers and sisters, haven't they?
Yeah.
So in some cases, like families were interlinked, weren't they? I noticed that. That's interesting as well.
Why is that interesting?
Because I've never experienced that, that's all, I suppose. Because African people do have extended families. Because I had a friend for a long time from Africa, and him and his sister weren't really, they didn't have either parent wasn't the same parent, but their sister and brother in their own eyes, because they were brought up in the same family, do you know, the extended family?
Yeah.
And they all lived in a compound with different houses, I suppose, or whatever.
In Africa?
In Sierra Leone.
Oh, okay. Right.
So I was surprised to find, because to me, it's just our culture. Brother and sister have got either the same mum, the same dad, or one or the other.
Yeah.
But in some African cultures, even today, you can have a brother or sister who may be, I don't know, might be your cousin, I suppose.
Yeah.
But might not be.
They have smaller communities, don't they? That's the point of the compound, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
But do you think some of the men here, the African men, the dads of the Reno goers, maybe they had a similar thing. Do you know what I'm saying? There was one lady, wasn't there, who said she went down the Reno because her older sister took her down there, which sounded great to me because I would have loved that. I think she got her from school and took her down the Reno.
I think it is.
Right, that was great. And then she was interwoven with another family, wasn't she, somehow? She had a different dad than her sister who took her down the Reno. And that sister is Fonzo's sister.
Oh, yeah, they relate,
Yeah, they're related like that.
Yeah.
So that's like an extended family, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you did that back in the day here, you were frowned upon. They weren't they?
Tell me more, what do you mean?
Because it wouldn't just have been my mum, but like if somebody had some children with someone and then gone off and had some children with someone else, that could be frowned upon. Do you get me?
I do.
But in the cultures we're talking about, that's not frowned upon. That's part of the culture.
I don't know about that.
Don't
I don't know if that's... I don't know.
I'm not explaining it properly.
You are explaining it properly. You are, but I don't know. I think we might be just presuming because maybe that was frowned upon within their family as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just, like if a guy's from Africa and now he's with like someone from England, I don't think she's going to be too happy that he's gone off and had other kids, is he?
No,
is she? Not. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Are you saying that he thinks it's normal from his culture, so therefore he's going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like setting up another family as well.
He might just be a bastard who just thinks he can do what he likes.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of that. There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there? I don't know whether there still is. There might be. But now there's a lot of that in any culture.
Why? Tell me.
I think.
A lot of different mixed up families.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, wait, so yeah.
Yeah.
In the 70s, it was bad to be illegitimate.
Well, it wasn't bad. I've used the wrong word. It was more unusual, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was more black and white, wasn't it? Like, you weren't good to be illegitimate, was it? You wouldn't tell anybody that you was a bastard and your mum and dad wasn't
No,
married.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And now it's really good. Because children shouldn't be stigmatised because of that, should they?
Yeah.
So we're much more, I'm not saying together, but we're much more, I don't know another word instead of together.
Lenient.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Lenient. Yeah, less hung up on.
Well, no one's interested, that's right. What you've said, less hung up. No one's interested now. But a lot of people on the videos had, I suppose, the word hang up because of what had gone on. Like I think it might be one of your friends, she says loads of kids were in care where in those days you didn't get fostered as much, you got put in a home.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always, it was horrible in a lot of ways, wasn't it? And then you might come out again. I mean, you know that lady, one of the ladies who's died, is it Carol Ann?
Yeah.
And she says quite normally I was in care there and I was in care there. It must have been quite rotten for her, going from one place to another being in care.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then one of your friends, I think it's one of your friends, she says it was like, it made me laugh, it was something like, the kids are in care, but they're not bothered as long as they've got the music and stuff. You know, was that true or is she just joking?
Do you know what, June? I don't know what's true or not true anymore. It all kind of like splurted out. I started this thing about, let's talk about the Reno, let's dig up the Reno. And like you said, when I go, tell me about the night you went down the Reno, it suddenly go off into this other angle.
So interesting.
No, it was absolutely interesting for me. So I don't know how much...
Because the thing is...
Go on.
Sorry, so sorry. I think I'm going a bit too deep in some ways.
No,
but
go as deep as you like.
we're sort of evaluating, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Just get me back on track when you need to. I get carried away.
No, it's interesting because what we're presuming from what we've watched is interesting.
Because what you're saying, or what you were saying for me, is that it was stigmatising to be half caste. It was difficult. Some people looked down on you, or they looked down on your mums, you said, didn't you?
Yeah.
So your mums had to go through all that, people calling them, spitting on them. And like you said, your mum had to go out fighting in some ways, you know. And that shouldn't have happened, should it?
No.
Society that was how it was. But society, the government, wanted people to come over and work here and feel passionately about this. And then when people got together and set up families, everyone was frowned upon and treated like dirt and given the bad housing and became vulnerable to, was it Jewish landlords?
I don't know.
Yeah, I might have read about this. This might not have come out of your interviews, but there were African and Caribbean dads who worked really hard to buy the house, and they bought them off Jewish landlords, and they found out there was like a demolition order on them.
Oh, yeah.
So they lost everything. So that was because they were new in this country and they didn't know the law. So they had children that needed a roof over their head, and they did that, and then they lost out and nobody bothered. There were all sorts of rotten things. That's a really big one if you think about it, isn't it? And you get the impression from a lot of people that underneath they had a lot of issues to cope with just because of the colour of the skin.
Yeah. I don't think we realised till we started talking, to be honest. Definitely for me, I didn't realise how much I had gone through. Do you know what I mean? And how much people around me had gone through till we started talking, because it was normal.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was just all normal.
You know that bit you said or put, I don't know if I read it or you actually said it. It was about your mum having, when she was pregnant, you were all at hospital with your mum having her, I don't know, they didn't have scans then, did they?
Yeah, no, they used to all just be in a line with the stockings down.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, waiting for the
my
internal.
My mum used to roll her stockings down. And you said you felt ashamed, and that really went to me. It was heartfelt. Why should Linda feel ashamed of her mum? But I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't your mum you're ashamed of, it was other things that made you feel ashamed.
Yeah.
The way society was behaving, wasn't it?
But we say the word society, but it's even kind of, it's more intricate than that, isn't it? It's society's everything. Yeah. It's not a thing out there, it's throughout everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's surrounding you, it's in you, it's there in the room. And what's them other women thinking about my mum? Do you know what I mean? It's, yeah.
So really you felt protective as well,
yeah,
of your mum maybe. So maybe you were in like turmoil with all these different feelings.
Yeah.
And your siblings as well.
I don't know what they were thinking about.
No, but you felt that, didn't you?
But June, you know, when my mum had Alzheimer's, well, she had dementia, and that I felt exactly the same thing in the hospital watching one of my sisters feed her.
Oh, did you?
And that, so it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's bigger than my grown-up mind will know that's stupid, but it's still there.
Yeah.
That my mum's got a black kid feeding her. Nobody else in here has.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's still there.
Right.
Yeah.
A black kid.
Yeah. No, but
isn't that weird? Isn't
that weird?
That's
though?
really weird.
But that's really weird.
Yeah.
But that's what it did, though, didn't it? All that kind of like, yeah. I remember going to my nana's for the first time when I was about 6. And because my mum's mum had not spoke to her for 6 years for running off with a black man. Do you know what I mean? And that. But my mum's mum had run off with a fella anyway. Do you know what I mean? So who's she to say anything? But that's kind of like the order of things and the hierarchy of things is, yes, she did wrong. In Ireland, she's run off and left her kids to be with an Englishman. But she can look down on my mum because my mum's run off with a black man, and that's worse.
Yeah.
So we don't meet my nana till I'm like about 6.
There was lots of that, wasn't there?
No, absolutely.
That's awful.
No, but it really is awful.
Do you think it's just because, do you think like mums and dads, parents, nanas, whatever, do you think they were scared of the colour of the skin?
What do you mean?
Do you think it just like scared them because they hadn't seen anyone before? Because like you said, you're the first generation of half-caste children.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just scared to death, but it wouldn't manifest itself in that way within them. They'd look down on them.
I've no idea, but it's a it's a massive question.
It is.
But I think what is odd and what's strange about it is it was all right. Do you know, it was the general consensus it was all right to be this way. Do you know what I mean? Like to put in a window, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, and the police don't come round and go, you're going to court, missus, for writing that in that window. Do you know what I mean? That it's okay, it's part of society. That's an all right thing to do. That how many women like my mum was ostracised from the family.
Yeah.
Do you know that? And it's okay. Do you know what I mean? And that's because they don't want the rest of the street to know, I suppose.
I suppose so.
You know, they don't want her turning up with a black fella, or definitely not with the product of having sex with the black fella, which is us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's about what the neighbours are going to say.
But what happened when you did go?
She was just dead bloody lovely. She used to give us money to go to the sweet shop next door. I remember I used to buy bonbons with her. But we never became part of the family, truly.
Oh, did you know?
No, never. Because, 6 years has already happened.
Yeah.
So I suppose something in my mum's not forgiving. Her sisters are all also in on the act. Do you know, it's not only that she doesn't talk to her mum. She's not.
Them.
Maybe.
And you can't blame her, can you?
No.
Because why should they suddenly want her back when they've ostracised her like that?
And it governed everything in my mum's language. You have to try harder because you're black. You have to do, they're going to look at you like this because you're black.
Did she say that?
Yeah, all the time.
Did she?
The time. She said, I could read and write before I went to school because I had to do better because I'm black. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
Wow.
It influenced everything about my life.
I never thought of that.
And everybody else who spoke on these videos, June, that it has influenced something in their life.
Right.
You know, and made them think in a certain way.
Because a lot of the videos, although I've been talking about miserable things, a lot of the videos are so, and they're all entertaining, and they all make you think. And like I said before, it's just a massive piece of social history in about Manchester. But loads of people have got such a lovely sense of humour.
Yeah.
And you're just laughing at the videos, aren't you?
Yeah.
And your interviewing is great. You know, like when I called you Mrs. Merton.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was ages ago. Some of the questions you asked or some of the statements you made just reminded me of like Mrs. Merton. And you didn't do that on purpose, but it was so funny.
It was funny on the dig though, wasn't it? You know, we laughed a lot on that, didn't we, as well? Yeah.
It was lovely. But I watched one again. I've been trying to watch them again when you asked me to come round. And I watched the one with, you know, the stand-up comedian and his dad.
Oh, Trevor Dreyer, yeah.
And that's lovely. And his dad. And then I made a comment saying something like, I thought there was a real warmth between him and his dad. And that bit about, in the end, he didn't know that was his dad. He thought that hated stepdad, whatever he was his dad, who used to batter him.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know how old he was, but his dad just said, I'm your fucking dad. And, you know, when you're a kid, that must have been it must have been a big relief, but hard for him as well.
Yeah.
And then you could feel the warmth. I could anyway.
Yeah.
I could feel the warmth between him and his dad. And they were laughing and joking. And then somebody, I don't know who she is, made some comments underneath saying, it's a disgrace and all this.
The dad.
Dad's a disgrace because he's got another family somewhere. But that's going back to what we were saying, loads of people. There was probably loads of white men with other families.
Yeah, probably.
And it's just that black men were not, I don't know what the word is, people identified it when it was black men, but ignored it maybe when it was white men.
But it's another going back to that double standards again, and they're different.
Yeah.
And they need judging in a different way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But also, June, you know, and that's true of your dad. Well, this is for me, just me talking.
Yeah. It's
you judge your dad through the eyes of what the world judges him as well. And I didn't realise that till I was an adult.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Because I said to you before, my dad was a nice dad. He was a nice dad, but that's only my definition of a nice dad, isn't it? Because he didn't belt me.
Yeah.
And he tried to give me good advice. But loads and loads of these dads tried to give good advice because that comes out in the videos. Because there's two, I can't remember the names, those two that are great pals even now. And they got up to all sorts.
Chris Jammer and Robert Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when he said his dad used to come in, sit on the bed and talk to him, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't appreciate it at the time, but what a nice memory. And I was just laughing out loud because he was telling him to keep away from his best mate.
Yeah.
And then, was it Chris?
Yeah.
He said his dad was telling him the same thing.
Yeah.
And their relationships lasted all their lives. They're still best mates, aren't they?
Yeah.
So how good's that? So these dads tried to do all the same things that white dads do and did. And there's probably loads of black dads who were better dads than some white dads were. But it's taken all this time for people to accept those things.
Yeah.
And it's just education, isn't it, really?
What do you think that is, though, all this time for people to...
I don't know, because I try and be open to everyone. I mean, if you're thinking about this, when I was about 5, I don't think I saw a black person. In Levenshulme, you were here in Moss Side. Well, we're in Whalley Range, aren't we?
Yeah.
But how many miles is that? It's 5 or 7 miles, maybe.
From Levenshulme to Moss Side?
Yeah.
It won't even be that.
I don't think I saw anyone black until I was about 5. And this woman who my mum was friendly with had these 2 black twins, these 2 girls. And now, she might have been fostering them or adopted them, I don't know. And we used to bump into them. And I can remember my mum, this is quite patronising, I'm sorry. My mum used to make a fuss and say, oh, they're gorgeous, they're lovely. Don't they look lovely? And they were both dressed the same always, with ribbons in the hair and everything. I had a ribbon as well, but my mum used to, for some reason, always say how lovely they were and how good a friend was. Do you understand me?
Not really. Go on, go further.
It's a bit too much, you know.
Yeah.
Was it because they were black?
Yeah.
She made more of a fuss of them and said, was it because she felt a bit sorry for her friend, who obviously loved them?
I'm sorry for laughing. Go on.
I don't know, but when we bumped into other people, this is on Stockport Road, in Levenshulme when you're shopping, used to be dragging along with my mum, she wouldn't stand for ages saying, "Oh, she's beautiful," to her other friends.
Oh, I get
Do you get me, Linda?
Yeah.
But these two, who were dressed up like dogs' dinners with all the bows and lovely dresses, and she would say, "Oh, hello, such a body. They're lovely, they're gorgeous," and all this fuss. Well, why did she do that? Did she feel a bit worried about a friend? Do you get me?
Yeah.
Do you get me?
No, I do get you. It's really interesting.
It's
do get
weird,
you.
isn't it? I've forgotten about that.
Yeah. What do you think she was doing? Think a little bit deeper.
Well, I think she was making a fuss to let a friend know it was all right. That they would like.
That she was still a friend as well.
Yeah.
And a friend was making a good effort and doing a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, Do you think that?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I'd forgotten about them. I don't know where they all ended up.
My mind's jumping to refugees when you say it. There's a similar thing happens with refugees. Oh, let me help the refugees and I'll get a place in heaven. Do you know what I mean? Or I can be really lovely to them, or a homeless person. There's like an idea of, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a similar small version of that.
It might have been, yeah. Because she was kind, my mum. She always used to bake bread and cakes, and she always used to send me round to people that lived on their own. Like this Winnie over the road. She was a little lady, and I don't know, she just was a bit different than everybody else. And she'd say, "Go to Winnie's and take Winnie a loaf," and she'd wrap it up. And I'd go to Winnie's and give her a loaf. And then I used to have to go to my grandma's she was always baking, my mum. She loved it. And it was lovely. You always had cake and stuff and bread. And she didn't keep it to herself. She gave it away.
Yeah.
So that's like an extension of her being kind in her way.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said, "Oh, I don't want the fucking loaf." They always seemed...
You and your fucking loaves.
They always seemed all right about it.
Yeah.
But maybe that was like an extension that what you've just said, she really wanted to say to a friend, "I think your girls are lovely, even though..."
And you're doing a kindness to the world.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because I think someone mentioned this. When I was at school, like I say, I'm quite a few years older than you. I don't think you would have got them. I don't think you would. We used to get these things to bring home.
I know what you could do, the envelopes.
Yeah, but there was like a strip of pictures of black children.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, we got an envelope.
Yeah.
And a strip of pictures. I don't know why. I can see them now in black and white. And then you put some money in and took them for the babies in Africa.
Yeah, I remember that. It's still fucking going on though in one version or another. Yeah. By now they must have had enough pennies to bloody dig a well or something.
They must have.
Do you know what I mean? But it's still...
Geldof made sure they had all that irrigation. Where's it all?
I didn't know, but they must... Do you know what I mean? It's like a pet project, isn't it? Fucking black people's like a pet project.
And when you mentioned before the Irish... Well, when I went to college, the adult college at All Saints, when the kids were at school, there was an Irish girl who'd done a degree and she wanted to be a lecturer, and she used to practice on us. She used to give us lectures, women's studies and sociology. And I can remember her saying that her mum got all the kids together in Ireland and she wanted to leave her abusive husband. Somehow she brought them all over here, and they came to Moss Side, and she was younger. She was, say like I was 30 odd, she was about 20 odd, so say 10 years younger. She said that they didn't have anything when they came here, and basically it was the same thing, wasn't it? People used to spit at her mum when she was out with the children because she was Irish.
Wow.
And there were all those signs up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just half caste and black people.
No.
It was, they were white. It was any immigrant.
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But like I said, I know that some people had probably trauma who went in the Reno, probably were traumatised as kids, because now that I'm a foster carer, I've learned a lot about trauma and how it can be caused. But you all had that place to go to, and that for me comes out in the videos as well, that everybody loved the Reno, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it was the music. I wish I could have gone to the Reno.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was there for ages. And they would have, I think you would have felt safe in there, would you? Because people said about going to town where I used to go. And we did see lots of, somebody said about loads of half-caste lads banded together and used to stick together. We used to go to Mr. Smith's and we did see loads of half-caste lads. But we would never have dared talk to them or get to know them. And I don't know why. And they probably thought we didn't want to bother with them, if you get me.
Yeah.
That's some people have made it sound like that in the videos, but we would have come from another perspective where we would have thought they don't want to bother with us. So it wasn't that people didn't like you because you were half-caste.
Yeah.
Because like there's safety in numbers, isn't there? If they were all in a gang.
Yeah.
And then, I forgot who it was, which video, but they always said that after being in town, they would come to the Reno. And we didn't know the Reno was there, so we wouldn't have. Although some girls found out about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know.
You think you would have if you'd have known June?
Oh yeah, I would have.
Look at you.
For a nosy.
Yeah.
I would have come for a nosy. I didn't know until I worked in Waterrange about the Nile.
Right.
And I found out from that girl I was telling you about. I didn't know about that.
What do you think could have been done better in the project? You can tie them both together.
Well, I just think it's worked out really, really well. Because those videos, you hit on something brilliant for doing the videos. Because I've read all the ISSU project that we've talked about. I've read that loads of times, because some of them, I've read it all, I think maybe all, but some of them are that interesting, I've gone back and read them again.
What we're talking about now?
Susan Andy's project,
okay, right.
which is in writing, and it's a different thing.
Okay.
But somehow, when I was reading that, you popped up, your project popped up on my iPad, and I was just addicted from then on, like you said. And so were, I don't know how many, but thousands of others. And the thing is, it's gone really well because you've done videos, I think, and it's so alive.
Yeah.
And people all sat in a row that have known each other, or brothers and sisters sat in a row. And you know, their memories are not always quite the same.
Yeah.
And they complement each other, don't they?
Yeah.
And you've got people who different, you've got, even though it's focusing on you being half-caste, as well as going in the Reno, and there are not only half-caste people that went in the Reno, it's like a mini society.
Yes.
It's a reflection of society. So the project, I think, it's only me thinking this, it's gone so well because you've chosen that medium. You've hit upon a brilliant way to start your project off. Because I presume digging up the Reno was your main...
That was the main idea.
Yeah.
That was what I woke up with.
And you've achieved that, which is a massive thing. But by doing the videos, I think you've got a captive audience.
Yeah.
And then we all wanted to help dig up the Reno. I wanted to dig up the Reno even though I didn't go in the Reno.
Thank you for that. You were better than half of them who just stood around pouncing about and laughing. Yeah.
No, but do you know what I mean? And I met some lovely, lovely people. And I'm friends with people on Facebook now that I didn't even know. And like I said to you before, if people would have made, say like someone would have said, why do you want to dig it up? You never went in the fucking Reno. I would have been cowed down and think, oh, best not go again.
Yeah.
Because one of my things was, do you remember when I felt a bit like, I don't think I should come to the party because I didn't go to the Reno? And you said, of course you can come. And then I think it was Ivan Smith said, you're coming to the party. You've dug it. You've done some
exactly.
digging.
You did more digging than most.
Yeah. So I felt more at ease then.
Yeah.
So it's more like that. Those videos, I think, were the best medium you could have used to start off your digging up the Reno. I think you just hit on.
Yeah.
Because writing it down isn't the same.
No, it's not, is it? It's animated.
No.
And you can read things in between.
Yeah.
Our silences, our laughter, it all adds up, doesn't it? Your face gestures, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the memories and like someone saying, referring to someone that's already been.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's fabulous because you think,
Yeah.
oh, I know her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. And then what we were saying earlier on about how truthful people, some people, they just opened up their heart, didn't they? And they just said all sorts of things that they'd no need to say.
Yeah.
And like I said to you before, whether that was like a healing process for some people or whether it was just that they felt so relaxed with you talking about it, or because you'd sometimes say, let's go back to that, tell me about that. And then they would. And it would have been something that you'd picked up on that was dead relevant or dead interesting, wouldn't it?
Interesting to me at the time. But
Yeah.
oh, why did he stop talking there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know.
Because you know, like Marie,
Yeah.
and she's a poet, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And then that made me look up her poem. She said where to look,
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
she?
did you?
And I just thought, what a lovely, talented lady she
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I've read some of her poems and they're just wonderful.
Yeah, they're good, aren't
And
they?
she had a big following, actually.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that she's died. And I never even got to see her at the dig or anything, which I would have liked.
She was already really ill.
I know.
Yeah.
But some people who I'd seen on your videos and I met them at the dig, that was so nice for somebody like me. And like other people that had never been to the Reno who came to the dig.
Yeah.
And they met people. It was just lovely because it makes it dead real then
Yeah.
when you meet them. I really think I was gutted because I had tonsillitis and couldn't come to the Whitworth. But you go in.
See, you did to a fully fledged Reno now. You'd have been there every night with the rest of us. Because that, what you're saying, is what we got and what we was after.
Yeah, what you were after.
Yeah, you know, that feeling that, you know, like we was all
Yeah.
friendly and you're part of the gang and you don't know what's going to happen next and we're all laughing. That's what the Reno was, like what was on site. And that addiction that you always gutted when I couldn't go, that's what we would have felt.
Yeah.
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 And it just seemed, you know, when, I don't know if it was Fonzo, but somebody said it was like living on a film set.
Yeah.
Well, when they were talking about latte on the door and the way he used to, if somebody got in his mind a bit out of hand or something, he'd say, I'm going to tell your father and stuff like that. I think that's brilliant because us lot going to Mr. Smith or Annabelle's in town when we were young, the doorman would have only nodded at us.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been like your laddie who knew your fathers.
Yeah, true enough.
So it was because in Levenshulme we did have a pub, it was called Brown's, and we did go there when we were still at school, we started going there. But you outgrew it and you got the bus.
Yeah.
You went downtown. But your Reno was on your doorstep, and everybody went. Dads were all in the gambling room, weren't they? And people were dodging the dads, and mums were there. So it was different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just like a mini community in your big community by the sound of it.
Absolutely, it really, really was. It definitely had its own rules as well of culture, you know, cultural rules. It definitely was a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you could feel that at the dig, couldn't you? You know, that the way we hugged and the way you knew and the way different people would group together and have their own factions and things.
And people who'd not seen each other.
Yeah.
You've brought them back together, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could have done it better. You've asked me, how could you have improved on it? I don't know really, because I think it worked really, really well. I think if you'd gone, written it all down, transcribed it all, you know, recorded it without a camera, just recorded.
Yeah.
Because when I did my degree, like I say, when my kids were at school, I had to do some ethnography. I had to do a project.
What does ethnography mean?
Where you do something like this, but then you use, obviously you use textbooks like you do on your degree, or these days I don't suppose they use books, but they go on the internet. And then you analyse all this stuff that people have said, using theories that are already there, and then you know, you do a bibliography. So if you'd have done it all longhand and then you'd have had to analyse it all, it would have got boring.
Absolutely.
But your videos are never going to be boring, are they?
No, because they're all nut jobs.
They're brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love nuts, and I hope I'm a nut.
Yeah.
And it's
you're definitely a nut, June. That's how you fitted in. Yeah.
Did you think it was a nut when you met me?
Absolutely.
Oh,
man.
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know whether other people will say to you when they're evaluating. I don't know whether they'll say you could have done this, you could have done that. But I don't think you could.
No, because it's alive, innit? I'm not just bigging myself up. That was my general intention was when people go, oh, sorry for swearing, and go, no, fucking swear as much as you like.
Yeah.
It's about us being real.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like and I couldn't control videos. Sometimes I'd be sat on this side thinking, why the fuck did they say that? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know. Or why did I say that? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But you were, you did say to people when they were, you know, when they were divulging something, you did say, you don't have to say that, you can stop now and go on to something else. But people got in the groove, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
They wanted to say it. So maybe for some people, I can't say the word, you know, is it cathartic?
Cathartic.
Well, maybe some people.
People have said that.
Have they?
People have said that.
Yeah.
That it was like therapy, people have said that, and that it's cathartic. But it's like we've had a bandage on our mouth for years. I don't even think we realised what we thought. I didn't know till I started it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people, once you got, like I say, into the groove of talking about something, there's no way you could stop.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting. And I don't think... I remember once reading a book. It was someone's... You know when someone's done a PhD?
Yeah.
And it was a... it was... I can't remember the title. And I must admit, I've tried to Google it since your project. It was something like a piece of history on white women who have relationships with black men. It was something like that, Linda. Yeah. And I know it was a woman who'd done the piece of work. And it went into it all, like I said, like a sociological approach. But it was one of the main things that came out, which I thought was funny, that the black men, she decided that the black men were much more easygoing, that they enjoyed music and they enjoyed going out.
How fucking racist is that?
Come on.
Come on. Fucking hell, man.
And that was the outcome of it. So...
Fucking hell, that's outrageous.
It was, I know.
She's going to earn her fucking mortgage from that bullshit.
Well, she would have got whatever she was doing, her MA or
No, but she will get a job because of that PhD. That'll pay for her mortgage.
But I went, don't forget,
Yeah.
I was doing my degree from 89 to 92.
Right.
And I just loved that library at Didsbury,
Right.
you know, at the Polytechnic. And when I should have been concentrating on something else, I'd be scanning the shelves for all sorts of stuff. That's when I found those Shirley Baker photos.
Oh, yeah.
I found them in there. I would never have heard of that, you know, until these days. Anyway, that's besides the point. But this book, it was just bonkers. Do you know what I'm saying? But that at that time, say it was 89, she probably did it in the 60s.
Okay.
She probably did.
Right.
And it was, I mean, now it's probably not there, but it was mental, analysing why white women would want relationships with black men and coming out with all this crap.
Wow.
So
Shirley Baker's not irrelevant, you know, because I think as well about her photographs. They're certainly astounding and wonderful photographs, but they're certainly pornographic though as well. Because I went to see that thing.
I did at the
in the Manchester.
I did. I dragged my friend along as well.
And she's quite well to do. And then photographs are taken in that way that all the kids look deprived of.
They look really scruffy, don't they?
Fucking hell, man, they look like they're an hour from death.
I know.
But I'm from that time. So she scoured them streets for them photographs. There was lots of other good photographs she could have taken as well.
Do you think?
Absolutely.
And she probably did take them.
Yeah.
But she probably didn't include them.
or because she's giving a certain picture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because some of them, you know where there's about, that one there's about 7 of them in a bed. How are they supposed to get up for school?
No, we all slept in the same bed. There was...
But didn't any of you go at the bottom?
4 in a bed, 4 sisters. Yeah, and my brother had his own room because he was a boy. Yeah, but I don't know. But they make you think that.
Yeah.
They make you think that everything is awful and terrible.
Yeah.
But there's this, you know, like, but we had a good time then.
I know.
What we didn't have was the camera to take the photographs.
You had a great
That's the difference.
time. And do you think that everything looks a bit dirty and
It probably was dirty compared to now. But it has got that sheen. I know what you're saying.
She was doing it in the demolition, wasn't she? So everything looks a bit dusty and that. But some of the kids, like you say, they look dead deprived. I wonder whether anybody's come up and said, oh, that was me.
Yeah, I bet they must have done.
That. Yeah.
They must have done.
I've not seen any. At the exhibition, there was nothing about that, was there?
There was loads wrote on the wall. I just didn't have time to read it. We need to cut off now. We've been on for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, thanks, Linda, for inviting me.
No, thank you for coming. What's the last thing you want to say, June?
Don't forget to invite me or tell me when the exhibition's in the Whitworth.
The Whitworth.
Because
Myra...
you
can come and be part of it. Go on.
Well, Myra went live like she does the
other day. Oh, yeah.
And it made me think, oh, my God, because Myra said you want to rebuild, and she put, everybody needs to help, so I'll help if you need me.
Absolutely.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love it. I brought some of my friends to the party, but they said they got chilly and cold.
Oh, miserable. No, because they hadn't been on the vibe of the rest of it. You know, the memoirs.
One of them said she was talking to loads of people, and she said she met loads of really interesting people. So that was nice.
Oh.
But I think they might have been a bit, you know, like you said, because they didn't come on the day.
Yeah, and because you're invested now, that's a different thing.
I don't think they've been to like a festival or a rally. And I don't even think they've been camping. They might never have been camping even, so they think I'm wild, but I'm nowhere near wild. But anyway, they came with me. That was all that mattered, didn't it?
Right.
But I don't think you could have done anything to make it better.
It just became what it did, didn't it?
Yeah, it evolved.
Yeah.
And you've got so many fans like me as well as people who were involved. So I think you're doing a great job. Please carry on with it.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Yeah.
Thank you, June. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for... Oh, no, seriously, you did a lot of digging, man. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Linda.
No, you really did.
Thank you.